Okay, so this is today's worksheet, and this is the stuff that we did yesterday and the day before yesterday, so you should have practiced already. If you did not do your homework from yesterday, make sure that you do it today, because if not, you're going to be in really big trouble with me tomorrow. For this page, I'm going to do number 3, 5, and 7 with you. Okay? And then you're going to do the rest of them in class. If you don't finish in class, it's homework. We have a quiz this Friday, and it's going to be over all of this stuff. So if you haven't been practicing, you're not going to do very good on this test. Problem number 3. We're going to do a box. You're going to put the numbers inside. The first term goes in the first box. The last term goes in the last box. And remember, when you have a number in here, this is your A, this is your C, you have to multiply them. 3 times 12, and that's going to give you what we need to look for. So the factors of 36. I have 1 times 36. 2 times 18 would be a factor. 3 times 12 gives you 36. 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. And we've done 36 a lot of times, so you should already know those factors. From these factors, which one gives you a sum or a difference of 20? Okay, when you add or subtract them, 2 and 18 will give you a sum of 20. So if you're getting a sum, remember those two, the signs can either be both positive or both negative. Okay, so I'm going to put the 2y and the 18y right here in the middle. And because this sign is positive, I need both of them to be positive. Okay, if it was a negative, then both of them would be negative. Because it's a sum, not a difference. So when you add these two, that gives you a positive 20. So you're done with that. On the outside, I know that it's going to be y times y, because y times y is y squared, but I have a 3 in the front. So I'm either going to put the 3 here, or I'm going to put the 3 here. And we need to look for, think of the times table, the 3 times table. In the 3 times table, you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and so forth and so on. These two are in my 3's times table. These two are not in my 3's times table. There's no 2 in here. Okay, so I'm going to use the 3's times table. These two go with the 3, and these two can go with the 1, an invisible 1. So then you start dividing. 18 divided by 3 is a positive 6, and 2 divided by 1 is a positive 2. And when you multiply 2 times 6, it gives you positive 12. So everything works out. Your factors are, for number 3, 3y plus 2 and y plus 6. Okay, now number 5, and number 5 is a little bit different, but it's the same thing that we've been doing. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is missing a term. It's missing, see down here you have x squared, you have x, and you have a number. Well, this one has b squared, but it doesn't have a b. So really it's like b squared plus 0b minus 64. It's the same thing. Es lo mismo. So we're going to make our box. Okay, you put your first term in the first box, b squared. Last term in the last box, negative 64. You multiply the 1 times 64, which is just 64. So I need 1 times negative 64 is negative 64. I need factors of 64. So 1 times 64, 2 times 32, 4 times 16 will work, and 8 times 8. And if you didn't know it, remember you can divide them, because 64 divided by 1 is 64, 64 divided by 2 is 32, 64 divided by 4 is 16, 64 divided by 8 is 8. Which one of these gives you a sum or a difference of 0? Because remember, that's what's in the middle. It's a 0b. So which one of these either adds or subtracts and gives you 0? Okay? 8 and 8. If you subtract 8 and 8, that gives you 0. So that's a difference. Okay? One has to be positive, one has to be negative. So I'm going to put my 8s here. 8b, 8b. One has to be positive, one has to be negative. And it doesn't matter which one because they're both 8s. On the outside, you have b times b is b squared. And then start dividing. 8 divided by 1, positive 8. Negative 8 divided by 1 is a negative 8. And when you multiply negative 8 times 8, that gives you negative 64. So my factors are b minus 8 and b plus 8. And these two, when you add these two, that gives you 0. It cancels out. That's why there's no more b's. That's why the only thing that you have left is b squared minus 64, and that's what you started with. Okay? So there's 3 more like that. Hopefully you can practice them and get really good at them. If not, we'll talk more about them tomorrow in class. Number 7 is the last one I'm going to do with you. Fill in the box. You have 5x squared in the front, positive 8 in the back. Multiply 5 times 8. That's 40. So I need factors of 40. Remember, you can divide too. So 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. Which one of these gives you a sum or a difference of 22? These two, if you add them, right, it's a sum. That means both of them have to be positive or both of them have to be negative. So I'm going to put 2x and 20x. And this is a negative 22, so both of them have to be negative. When you add these two, negative 20 plus a negative 2, it gives you a negative 22. So you're good. On the outside, we're going to start filling in the outside. I know this is x times x. X times x is x squared, but I have a 5. So one of these is going to have to be 5 because the only thing that's going to give me 5 is 5 times 1. So remember, you look at your times table. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and so forth and so on. These numbers are all part of the 5 family. So these two belong in the 5 times table. So that means if these two belong in the 5 times table, then both of them can be divided by 5. So the 5 goes here. The 1 will go here because 5 and 2 both belong to the 1's times table. Then you start dividing. Negative 20 divided by 5 in the calculator gives you a negative 4. And negative 2 divided by 1 in the calculator gives you a negative 2. And when you multiply negative 2 times negative 4, it gives you a positive 8. Everything works out, so your factors are 5x minus 2 and x minus 4. The rest of them you're going to do by yourself. I need you to practice as much as you can. Don't forget, whatever you don't finish is homework. I don't want you to just sit there and do nothing. Because I'm going to know tomorrow, and I'm going to know on Friday when you take that quiz.